Greetings, Soul Tribe. So I'm out here today with my baby once again to announce that Queens of Heaven, the She and the Serpent podcast, has finally been released. It's currently up on YouTube. I will be expanding to other platforms soon, but I still have to set those up, and I didn't want that to stop me from sharing this with you because I've been so excited, and it's been long awaited on my part. So please go listen. The link is in my bio. We're discussing an honest descent into the underworld, and so I hope it is interesting to you. I think that covers a lot of interesting subjects, and I'd love to start a discussion about it. I'm going to get a Patreon set up, and I'm going to see about having a dialogue. So I also wanted to talk to you today about self-trust, because this episode release really marks a big milestone for me as far as like the fulfillment of the podcast project, but also She and the Serpent overall, because this has always been a part of that vision for me, and also just on my journey believing in myself. This time last year, I had a concept both for She and the Serpent and for Queens of Heaven already, but I was feeling so self-doubtful because all my life I had a mother figure who, whenever I said something that I wanted to do, like a goal I had or a dream, she said, "You're not going to do that. You won't do that. No, you won't." And then she would list all the reasons why I would never accomplish that thing. And sometimes it was because of things that she prescribed to me, such as laziness or stubbornness or stupidity. And other times it was because of the way of the world. But either way, it was a highly discouraging message. And I've still had to learn to deprogram that from my brain so that I can just be free and do my own thing. But it's been extremely liberating. Whenever 2020 started, my New Year's resolution was radical self-trust, and I had no idea what I was getting into except that it was something big, because for me, self-trust has just been out of the picture my entire life, because I was just taught that there was everything wrong with me and that I was totally unacceptable and that I had to hide and be exactly what the world wanted me to be in order to survive, and also just in order to earn love and to have friends and to be worthy of any kind of positive recognition. And that's so false. That is so false. It's so false for everyone. But I've learned that now, and so it's been a wonderful journey. And I knew in 2020 that self-trust was what was going to make the difference between me being the person that I wanted to be, me becoming the person I knew I could be, and not. And of course, the failure is not an option for me. And the only way to really fail is to not try. I used to think that sounded corny, but it's absolutely true. A lot of the times, things that I used to think sounded corny is just because I became so cynical due to my depression and due to the way that I had been treated, and the way that I believed the world worked. But the world is, in fact, a beautiful place. I'm loving the sunshine. We got some cloud cover now. But I can hear the breeze, and the trees out here are beautiful, finally changing colors for autumn. So, self-trust. Self-trust started for me whenever I quit my job. I used to work at a heritage research center as a student researcher at my college, and it was a good job. You know, I wasn't getting paid as much as I would have liked for the bills I was paying, and just for like the expenses of my household. But that was sort of the nature of the job, and it was a student job, so it's what to be expected. And then I also just wasn't fulfilled with what I was doing with my time. We had some really interesting projects working with like HRCs. There's actually a local, well, fairly local HRC whose archive has been struggling, which is extremely common because as things become digitized, and also as funding is given in inadequate amounts to universities, particularly historically Black colleges, they cannot maintain their archives. But we were helping to try and get some funds raised for this particular one. We had a couple other projects going. It was interesting, but I knew that my work was in the realm of spirituality and that I needed to be working with people. And I knew that even though I was, just a senior and I was just like 20 at the time, and, I didn't have really much experience with anything other than my own life under my belt, I knew that I had to somehow break away and start walking down my own path. And so I did. And I was terrified. I was like, I have to start making money now, because if everything I'm doing isn't profitable, how am I going to help support my family? We were, and still are, using food stamps. And so I was just like, I'm trying to, be independent, financially independent, to like make my household financially independent and secure. It's extremely important to me. And so I was stressing. And I thought that because, we had a couple other people working in our household, but I thought that like me not working was going to put enormous strain on us, and that, it'd be difficult to make it. And we adapted. The world didn't fall apart. My family's still here. Everything's fine. And after that, in November, I found out that I was pregnant with this little one, which I had believed impossible, but miracles do happen. And so I was shocked, because not only had this miracle occurred, but also I realized that I had a next level responsibility to figure my shit out, because I have been working on my healing journey for a very long time, but as can be the tendency, especially if you do experience like depression, mental illness, anxiety, you procrastinate, you put things off, because that's really stressful, and I don't want to deal with all that stuff right now, but it's totally necessary, and it's totally healing and totally worth it. And so having a baby on the way, I was like, I cannot do to my child what my parents did to me. And I know that that's the default, especially for children who have survived abuse and who are healing from it, because even though they don't want to fall back on those habits, that's all they have. And so I'm like, I really have to teach myself, deprogram myself, and grow out of these hurts, these wounds that I have, so that I can heal them, and so that I can be a healed mother for my baby boy. So that's the journey I'm on now. And this whole year I've been prepping for motherhood, and now it's here. And it's wonderful, honestly. And I'm so much more comfortable with myself now because of all the exercises I've been doing self-trust wise and dealing with my wounds. And I now trust myself to be a healthy mother for my son. I used to not even want to have children because I was so terrified that I would act out the same abuse that my parents acted out on me, but that's a lie. It's a lie, because I'm a good-hearted person, and because I love my son, who is quite talkative at the moment. What's up, baby boy? He might be sleepy. We're going to head inside in a minute. But I just want to tell you that self-trust has healed my life. It's healed my relationships. One of the smaller but super impactful ways that self-trust has manifested this year is just in being more expressive verbally with my spouse. Because for a long time, I was holding back, not out of secrecy, but just out of fear of conflict. And it was never it wasn't important stuff, because everything is important when you have anxiety. Everything seems like it can be the end of the world, depending on what your anxiety is like. And for me, like, my anxiety had to do with just household relationships, because I was used to conflict in those relationships, and I was used to, if I wanted to ask for something or say something, or if I had an opinion that wasn't the same as someone else's opinion, I was used to getting beat for it, or punished in some other way, yelled at, having, books taken from me, because don't let your child read if they don't agree with you. Too much knowledge. But I had to work through that. I had to stop projecting my childhood onto my husband, who I'd chosen because I trust him. I had to trust myself enough to believe I made the right choice, unlike perhaps my parents did. And to just be myself, and to stop stressing, and to just talk. And so I started speaking up, and I started saying more things, and I thought that like a relationship might fall apart, because, oh my God, I'm disagreeing with him, and it didn't. He loves me, and I love him, and it just gives us an opportunity to work things out while I'm also being heard, so I don't have to feel like resentment or just misunderstood. I don't have to feel like I'm not really a part of the relationship just because I put myself in a box. I don't have to feel lonely or unsupported, because I'm actually allowing myself to speak up about my feelings so that he can support me and be there for me. So I'm enabling him to love me better by loving myself, which is a beautiful lesson. Anything else about self-trust? I could say so many more things, but we'll just talk about the podcast once again. For the longest time, this was something that was nagging me because I've been thinking about it for a little bit over a year now, and I wanted it to be done already. I already wanted to have several episodes out, but I've still been working and developing, and that means artistically, but also spiritually. And then, of course, I'm a mother, and so my journey has a lot of things going on within it. And I tend to be that way. I love my projects. I'm somewhat of a restless person. I'm working on it. I'm working on relaxing, learning to chill a little bit. But that still means being creative for me in as many ways as I can balance healthily. Still working on the healthy balance as well. But we're getting there. And the healthy balance is part of why Queens of Heaven was released a little bit late, because it could not have been done without, essentially detriment to my personal life, and to other projects, and to just like my quality time with my family if I had been rushing it. And also I would have had to rush it, which is never the way to do things, although that's how I lived my entire life. My college roommate is one of my close friends, and if she could hear me saying like something about not rushing, I'm sure she will at some point watch this video. Hi Sharon, I love you. It's just hilarious because I've always been in a hurry. Caterly doesn't do chill was an old phrase, but I'm learning, and yay to learning new things, because it is so much nicer to not be stressed all the time and to actually relax, and to not just like be still sometimes, like not moving, but to actually like be still in your heart and mind and spirit while you're also not moving. It's great stuff. The sun is out, and I've released my first podcast episode at last, because although Manitra, my mother, caused me to fear that I was a liar about, all the projects, all the things that mattered to me, all the things I wanted to do. And because I validated that fear through self-sabotage for so long by, either giving up on myself during like middle school and high school, even later in college, or just not fully committing to things because I was scared that I wouldn't do them well, perfectionism, scared that they wouldn't be accepted, like fear of judgment, or just scared that I was lying to myself all along about being capable of it. But that was just all fear. It's all an illusion. It's not real. And that's great. So now I've done the thing because I knew I could, and it just took some time, longer than I wanted, but that's okay because I'm learning to not be attached to outcome or attached to timelines. And the less that you're attached to, the more wonderful everything around you is. Little bits of wisdom for today. So I guess that's all I have to share with you. It feels amazing to have accomplished a goal that I've been working towards for so long, and that I had so much anxiety and procrastination over. But here we are, and that's just one step of many other steps that I'll be taking soon, and I can't wait to take them with you. I'm so grateful to have you all walking with me on this journey. I love my son, I love my family, I love the sun, I love Mother Nature, and I love all of you. Thank you for watching. Please go listen to my podcast. It's not perfect, but it's mine, and I think it has several wonderful things about it. And if you listen to this episode, please keep listening for future episodes, because they're only going to get better in quality and content, and because it's just going to be so much fun. Right now, we're exploring Sumerian mythology, as I said, and I feel like Sumerian mythology is really underrated. Like, many people don't pay attention to it, but it's like the mama of all other mythologies. So check it out. That's all. Love and light.